Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's so great to have you tune us in and turn us on. Listen, here's the thing. When we started these good news segments, we didn't know that we would be providing you with the most incredible information that could save your life. Today is one of those days. Today is one of those days. What happens? What happens if you or a loved one or what appears to be them suffering right in the middle of a stroke? Now, many of you have heard us do a lot of shows on this before, but what can we know? At just 30 years old, a doctor's wife describes her ordeal, an amazing survival from a stroke, thanks to what? Her husband's quick response. Joining me here today, Dr. Lauren Barnathan, and of course, we have somebody here that's going to be up close and personal. Lauren Barnathan joining me here today. Both of you look. I don't think we could say enough about your ordeal or what you've experienced, but I want to ask you this question. Here we are. I said you were 30. We have a whole new game that we have to understand about strokes, don't we? Do you want to start, Doctor?
Yeah, so it's a whole new game, like you said, in the stroke world. Where we are in stroke is where we were with heart attacks in the 90s. It's a revolution going on in a good way. And a lot of the treatments now are really aimed at early detection and early treatment. And in Lauren's case, saved her life.
Mm-hmm. I want to go to you, Lauren, for a minute. Did you know this was happening when it was happening? I mean, look, you're kind of like what we talk about. You go to the gym. You think you're in great shape. So what were you thinking?
I wasn't really thinking anything. Actually, at the time, I was more upset with my husband for calling 911 because I didn't think anything was wrong, to be perfectly honest. And that's what happens with a lot of people that are experiencing stroke. Your body goes into this protection mode and you don't realize that these things are happening. And so I really didn't realize that it was happening until the next day. It kind of all set in. But I did not know. And that's been the problem. That's why that's kind of catalysted our mission to try to make people aware of the signs and symptoms of stroke for those that are not able to identify it themselves.
And I think this is so important because I don't know that we ever thought we would be at the day, Doctor, where we would be saying 30-year-old and the word stroke in the same sentence. I just don't think we ever thought we'd be there. What have we learned about this? And give us an update on the world that is now encompassing so many people.
Yeah, so what we learned is really, we've learned an awareness that stroke could hit at any age. It doesn't choose gender, it doesn't choose age, it doesn't choose race. Anyone could have a stroke. There are different reasons people have strokes, but anyone could have a stroke. I think part of the kind of revolution going on is now we're thinking about young people having a stroke, which is overall a positive thing because we're becoming increasingly aware as doctors, as a medical community, that this is something that we need to recognize and we need to treat. And that's overall a good thing.
Well, here you are, right? You're a physician in emergency medicine, right? I mean, that's just a very broad brush. We say those things and it's like, okay, there's so much more to that. But what is it about your training, if I might ask, that helped you recognize it? Or was it a combination of, yeah, I learned about that, and by the way, intuitively, I know what's going on?
Yeah, in my case, it was a little combination of both. I've seen it so many times that I instantly recognized a pattern. But the reassuring thing is that you don't even have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a medical professional, you don't have to even know the first thing. You could have failed high school biology, all those things, and you could still recognize a stroke. So the important thing that we preach is we in the emergency department, we always say keep it simple. And that's really true for stroke. Keep it simple. That's why we use mnemonics. We preach mnemonics, because if you recognize it, you don't have to make the diagnosis. You just have to know, all I have to do is dial 3 numbers, 911, and my job is, your job is done. That's all I did. And there was nothing special about that. Me being a doctor didn't change anything about me just saying I need to dial 911.
Yeah, I'll tell you what is different about it, and I think Lauren's going to talk to this right now. Here's what's different about it. I don't know about you, but I had a situation yesterday where one of my table tennis buddies fell very hard. And the first thing they say is, I'm okay. I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
And 6 people try to lift them up, and I'm like, no, don't move her. Isn't this really the deal? Because I can imagine Lauren saying, oh, honey, no, please, what are you doing? You're calling 911. And, at that point, if you weren't a doctor, the game would be over. They wouldn't call. Let's talk about, if we could go through this, the symptoms, and regardless of what somebody says to you, please dial the phone, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we want people to overreact. As a patient that experienced it myself, I was underreacting. And my husband, not that he overreacted, but people think they're going to go to the emergency room and they're going to be ridiculed or feel silly for overreacting to something. But in reality, it could be one of the signs and symptoms of stroke.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, doctor. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, just piggybacking on what Lauren said, that quick decision just to make that call and not care about if people think it's ridiculous or not, and say, we have to do this. This is the right thing to do.
All right, let's go through some of the signs. But before we do that, because I know what happens every time we do this, we sort of run out of our 10 minutes or so. How about a website? How can people find out more?
Strokeawareness.com has the 10 signs and symptoms as well as resources for potential stroke survivors and their loved ones.
Wow. Okay, let's go to it. Let's give people some signs. Because I know for me, part of what I experienced, some people called it a stroke, other people didn't. But it was the kind of thing where you have this momentary lapse where you don't remember much and you end up on the floor. But let's go through the signs that everybody right now need to be aware of. Go ahead.
So the signs we use and the mnemonic we use is be fast, and that stands for balance. So and this is all regarding sudden onset symptoms. So any loss of balance that's sudden or new should concern a caregiver or a loved one. Visual deficits in one side of your vision or another.
Is that like dizziness? Is that the same as dizzy?
Yeah, so sudden onset dizziness where you can't walk a straight line and somebody's asking you if you had too many cocktails at lunch, but you didn't, that could be a sign. Facial droop could be a sign, arm weakness, of course, and leg weakness, and that's really on one side of the body. And then, of course, speech, the gargled or slurred speech we hear about, and Lauren had, and then T is for time, so time to recognition being the most important thing you could do.
Lauren, I want to ask you a question. Here you are, this event happened to you. I want to ask you, what was it like the day after? Do you know what I mean by the day after? I don't mean literally the day after, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. And literally the day after was when it did all hit me. I remember I called a coworker who I carpooled to work with, and I was just crying. I said, I can't come into work today. I had a stroke, and I was so upset about not going into work. And then kind of from there on afterwards, the physical recovery was sort of what I expected being in the healthcare field. I kind of knew what I was up against, and I really didn't take into consideration the whole mental aspect of my recovery. The physical recovery looked like getting small triumphs, getting from my bed to the chair, walking a block, walking down the hallway to eventually I ended up running a half marathon. And while all those are great triumphs and victories, it was really the emotional toll that it took on both Adam and I that was the biggest surprise and probably the biggest hurdle to get over.
Yeah. And there's a reason I ask you that, because I actually work with women in particular who experience a health challenge on exactly that, the psychological aspects of it. Because in the end, even though there's so much advanced technologies like doctor you're talking about, there is an emotional, a psychological, a mental, and some people say a spiritual side to recovery, right? And so I hope you are a spokesperson for those people that don't realize that equally those are important, Lauren, right?
I agree completely. We're just going to continue spreading the word.
Where are you today? Last question. Where are you today? How are you feeling
Florida.
today?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm also very blonde, as you can tell. That was pre-stroke.
I just got my hair done. You can't see me because they didn't do video, but if you saw me, my hair is blonde white, and people are like, dude, really, your age, do you really have gray hair? I said, no, I just like the blonde color. So go ahead.
No, and I'm a better person than I was before my stroke, and I'm continuing to grow each and every day because of it. So I'm in a great place. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Any last words, doctor, that you want to give here? I know this is a short interview.
No, I just want people to go to strokeawareness.com, make sure that they know the signs and symptoms, and to pick up the phone, dial 911, and it's okay to overreact. That's the real message.
Yeah, and I've got a message, and I hope it's in line with you both. Stroke has no distinction to age. The old view of who is going to have a stroke, when they're going to have a stroke, what it looks like for a person that should or should not have a stroke, this is a new game. Thank you both for joining me here today.
Thanks, Dr. Pat.
Thank you. Okay, lots more to come on this. We're going to be talking about it in another segment. We'll be right back.